Towards a New Socialism. Section. High-tech and intermediate tech solutions. The computation of labor values for a whole economy is now feasible in a few minutes using modern supercomputers. These computers are expensive, but not prohibitively so. They are already used for weather forecasting, atomic weapons design, oil prospecting, and nuclear physics. It would not be unreasonable to give a National Planning Bureau the same computational capacity as the Met Office. Until recently, supercomputer technology has been within the capability of only a few countries, primarily the USA and Britain. Britain now has the ability to produce machines of this capacity using highly parallel processors. Edinburgh University is building a machine with a capacity of 10 million instructions per second. As of 1988, the USSR had several projects underway to develop similar supercomputers, but it seems unlikely that any of them were in series production. See Wolcott and Goodman, 1988. It is worth pointing out, however, that essentially the same results could be achieved with a considerably lower level of technology. We present a short outline of how this might be done. The intermediate technology solution requires 4 components. The first of these is teletext, familiar to the British public under the trade names CFAX and Oracle. These are public information systems that use spare bandwidth on television channels to transmit pages of digital information about the news, sport, weather, etc. The second component is the public telephone network. The third is the personal microcomputer with an adapter capable of receiving teletext, the whole costing a few £100 at current prices. The fourth component is the system of universal product coding developed by the retail trade. Universal product codes are the numbers displayed under the barcodes on nearly all marketed goods. It is already standard practice for all but the smallest firms to perform cost analyses using spreadsheet packages on personal computers. In our hypothetical socialist economy, each unit of production would use such a package to build a model of their production process. The spreadsheet model would have fed into it how much labor had been used over the last week, how much of each other input, and what the gross output had been. Given up-to-date figures for the labor values of the various inputs, the spreadsheet would rapidly compute the labor values of the outputs. Where will the up-to-date labor values come from? They are broadcast continuously on teletext by the public broadcasting authorities. If, as before, we assume that there are 1 million products, then teletext should be able to broadcast revised labor values every 20 minutes. The products would be identified by their universal product codes. The personal computers listen in and update their spreadsheet model in response to any broadcast changes in labor values. If for any reason the personal computer in a place of work decides that the labor value of the product produced there has changed, it dials up the central teletext computer and informs it of the change. These changes might be either due to some change in local production technology or a broadcast change in the value of one of the inputs. The whole system would be acting as a huge distributed supercomputer, continuously evaluating labor values by the method of successive approximation. Although it uses cheap and simple technology, this approach has several advantages over a centralized supercomputer. It not only performs the computations, but also performs data collection, which is notoriously one of the most difficult aspects of any planning system. Secondly, it would be a much more robust system. If a few small computers break down, the figures for some labor values may get slightly out of date, but the system as a whole would survive. The only single vulnerable point would be the central teletext broadcasting system, but this would be considerably cheaper than a central supercomputer, which would allow it to be replicated with backup machines. Using this distributed calculation system, each unit of production would have available to it, if not up to the minute, then up to the hour, estimates of the current social labor cost of production alternatives. This is much faster than a capitalist market can achieve. End of section.